else is new?
All right. Yeah, well, let me get this in before you guys see me.
Yeah. All right.
Put your weeds away.
Yeah. Put your food away. It's time to get down to business. What's up, everybody? My name is Tony Tone. Thank you again for coming to my podcast, listening to it. This time you're actually going to be watching it. I'm joined by a couple special guests. To the bottom is Isaac, and to the top, my top left is Marsell. They're joining me out of Arizona. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
I'm Isaac Conaway. IconicIron is what I go off of on Instagram. I am a bodybuilder slash lifestyle coach slash husband slash father slash, everything. So that's me.
And I'm Marsell Zaborek. My Instagram, just like my name. I am a bodybuilder, bodybuilding coach, business owner, and all those above.
That's awesome. So let me dig right into it. So me knowing Isaac, we have known Isaac for years now. Back in 2016, we used to go to the same gym, Marsell, and he probably told you this. We'd be the guys, he'd be the guy. I'd try to keep up, but he'd be the guy to just throw all the weights on, lift as much as you could every single day, max out. And then, he stopped doing that for a while. And then he somehow, I don't know, Isaac, you can kind of talk this into what happened, but you turned the switch on, and all of a sudden you became more into the fitness. You became less into doing, max body weight or max weights, more about, the intricacies of each single lift. And I just kind of want to know, how did you get from 2016 to, and excuse me, I'm not talking shit. I just kind of looked at your Instagram, but you were 322 back then to where you're at now.
Yeah. Man, I just, it kind of all happened. Like, I was doing my thing, lifting like I always was. And, I wasn't like healthy about it. I wasn't going about it the right way. I wasn't researching, stuff I should have been researching. And I was just kind of just being a meathead in a sense, in other words. Yeah. And I was just winging it, and I think a lot of people are like that when they start off, and, like I said, I didn't know how to eat. I kept drinking, and, things were always like the same routine. It was always just kind of sleep a little bit, drink a lot, eat a lot, go work out, same old shit. So, it wasn't until that 2016 when I had a health scare and I was put into the hospital, that's kind of when, I flipped the switch, and it was that same time, man, when I was really going through this stuff with my wife, and like I was separated from her, and, I was trying to go on a different path, mentally and physically, and that's kind of why we separated in a sense. But that's kind of what turned me around was, I had this like ultra focus all of a sudden, and a different view in life, because I literally thought I was going to die in the hospital. I was in there for 13 days, and, it scared the hell out of me. So really, that's kind of where I really took an interest into like bodybuilding, health, and just kind of learning like the actual basics of like the lifting and stuff that I never like paid attention to. Right. And I just slowly started to put it together little by little, That's kind of where I got to where I am now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen you personally go from point A to where you're at now, and it's amazing to see. How about you, Marsell? How long have you been in the bodybuilding business?
I think I started, I would say about, I know it was about 2021, I believe. It's when I started, training and going to the gym. I was always an athlete, like throughout high school and stuff like that. Yeah. But then after high school, things got out of hand. I actually, started working a lot in offices and stuff like that. And I actually ended up gaining quite a bit of weight and just not being myself. And then what actually got me to like lock in, like Isaac was talking about, was actually my girlfriend at the time cheated on me with her yoga instructor, which made me feel like can we swear on here?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, like a pile of shit. So, like a pile of shit. So I just kind of felt bad about myself and then locked into the gym, and then it was just no turning back from that point. I just kind of learned to use that as,
Yeah.
Everything, my getaway, my free time, my hobby. It's like all of it put into one.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. What I see on your Instagram pictures, man, you guys competing and stuff looks awesome. I don't personally know if I could ever do that because of the speedo aspect of it, which we'll get to a little bit. But yeah.
Oh, we got to get to that part.
Yeah, we'll get to that part. But let's start from the beginning. So Isaac, you said IconicIron. What, you got merch out there. You got shirts. I'm wearing one of your shirts right now. What made you pick that? What made you pick that title? What made you the business name?
2015, when I first started, I started it with a buddy of mine named Eric Damon, and we were kind of like trying to think of a name, and he was coming up with stuff, and I always liked the word iconic because like it just, what it stood for, and also like because my initials were involved in it, so it kind of like my Isaac Conaway everything was in there, so I rolled with it, and I liked it. And he added on the iron to it, and I was like, cool, let's roll with it, and it's pretty much just stuck, just kind of stayed with me from there on out, and I didn't ever wanted to change the name. I don't know.
That's dope. And Marcel, do you have a business name yourself, or do you guys have business name together or business together?
Just started, yep.
Yeah, okay, what's the name of that?
He has his own. He does have his own, yeah.
So we have together we're doing Iconic Physiques.
Okay.
And then we actually just teamed up on my other business as well because we have a few projects going all at the same time. And that's Relentless Fitness and Nutrition. So that's our other project that we're working on together. So we've been kind of combining everything lately, just
making it one.
A lot of what we do just goes hand in hand, and he's good at certain things, I'm good at certain things. So we're trying to just like utilize things that we're both good at and just, keep pushing forward. So I think that's why, everything is just kind of working together at the moment.
That's awesome. One of the things I wanted to tell you, Isaac, is if most people won't know this, but you moved from Chicago to Arizona, and I'm not, if it's fully because of the bodybuilding aspect or if it was some other things happening, but I will say for entrepreneur status, I admire the fact that you had a great job, you made great money. I'm not trying to put your business out there, but for you to drop all that and then basically risk and put it all on yourself, what you're doing now. You send me, not me personally, well, you send me Snapchats or you send Instagram posts of you, working things in the early morning with Marcel and stuff like that, and you grinding basically. So I admire that. But was it easy to leave Chicago and go to Arizona?
I wouldn't say it was like easy, but like, I've always been a risk taker. So like it wasn't like, it was kind of just normal for me to just be like, fuck it, let's go. Yeah. And just, up and restart somewhere. We had talked about it for a while, and we're like, man, we're just getting tired of living in, Illinois. And finally we talked to Marcel. He was the one that kind of put the bird in our ear, and he came over for a show, and we had a show in Ottawa, Illinois. And he was telling us how nice Arizona was. And he's like, oh, man, you got to come. It's beautiful. The people are cool. Everything's laid back. You don't have to wear no pants. I'm like, what?
Wear no pants.
Yeah, he sold me on that. Once he said that, I was like, bingo. That's all. Shorts all summer, all day. Oh, I'm good. All year. Okay, And I told the wife, I said, man, I said, you know what? Maybe you should do her first bodybuilding show. I said, you should do your show in Arizona so we can go look at it. And November 2019 was her show, and we came here, and we were here for like 4 or 5 days, and we fell in love with it. The following year, we weren't even thinking about moving yet. We were like giving it like a 2-year plan. Yeah. And like COVID hit, and I remember I was sick, or not sick, but I thought I had COVID, so they told me to stay home for 2 weeks. I'm like, I had 2 weeks off of work, so I'm like, I hit up Marcel and said, hey man, I'm looking at these houses on Zillow. I just want to come check these houses out. You mind if I come and stay at your house for a few days? And he's like, yeah, come on over. So I just shot out because the flights were super cheap. Yeah. I shot down there in like April of 2020 in the middle of all this shit. And I found a house And I didn't even think like I was gonna buy this house. Like it was like I thought it was too good for me.
I mean, Tony, you got to understand this was like, this sounds like a week-long deal. I'm talking like this is like 2 days. Like I'm flying down, and then the next day he's signing his house contract. Like that's how quick things went.
No, I remember hearing about it and like getting a text and stuff saying, "Hey, we're leaving. This is gonna be our goodbye party," basically. And I'm like, "What? What happened?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Holy shit, man! You went head first into this bodybuilding stuff and moving up." And I'm happy for you guys, man. And like you said, your wife does it, Mimi, and you know, she did great in the competition as well. And Marcel, does your wife also train with you?
Michelle, yeah, she does. She's actually wants to do her first competition this year, so we're working towards that.
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, no, she's totally into the you know, training, lifting, eating. You know, I think it's honestly, I think it's very hard to not have somebody around you that's into that. You know, because if that other person's not into it, it's so hard for them to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it all the time and why you're always training or why you're always dieting. And sometimes you do certain things. So I don't think you, like, as a bodybuilder that does this pretty seriously, I don't think you could be with anybody that's not at least a little bit into it. They don't have to be competing, but they at least have to enjoy some of it, you know?
Right. I get that. You know, for me personally, I don't know much about bodybuilding other than like the famous bodybuilders, you know, just, I can't even think, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I've seen the picture, I've seen you guys, your pictures and stuff like that, competing and stuff. Yeah. Walk me through the whole process. How do you, one, figure out where you want to compete at? Two, how long does it take you to start prepping? And then like just everything from like eating, sleeping, your regimen, everything.
Fuck, where do we start?
Yeah. I mean, like, for where you want to compete at, or what class you want to compete in, like, to me, I always say, like, you just start lifting, and wherever your body falls into, that's where you should try to compete at. Like, you shouldn't try to force yourself into a certain division because you want to fit that look. Like, your body needs to fit that division, you know, whether it's men's physique, classic physique, or open bodybuilding. Like, you know, that's how I look at it. I don't know about Marcel, but, you know, that's how I view how you should really like pick your class, you know, or you
definitely. Like, to me, I look at two things as well. One, do you want to do this competitively and, you know, take it a little bit step further, or is this just a hobby? Because if it's just a hobby, and let's say you really like bodybuilding, but you don't look like a bodybuilder, but you really like bodybuilding, sure, go for it. If you want to compete in bodybuilding, but not classic or men's physique, sure, there's lower weight classes in bodybuilding, go for it. But if you actually want to, you know, win and be good at what you do and, you know, do some damage per se in your particular class, then yeah, that's going to be almost chosen for you. It's where your body falls. There's not a lot of people that, you know, can do classic physique and, you know, and bodybuilding at the same time and fit both of the criteria correctly. Yeah, there's people that can do that. Yeah. But at the higher levels and pro levels, no, it's different, you know, and sometimes it's where your body lands, you know. Like I love bodybuilding, and I wish I could do bodybuilding at a high level, but right now I'm not there, you know, and right now my body's, I think, would do better in classic. So, but I'm also still so far from my genetic potential per se. I haven't given it enough time to kind of see where it's going to fall. So we'll see what the, you know, next few years do.
So for like, you're going to enter a competition, the workout regimen that you schedule yourself to do, you know, those, I don't know, let's say 12 weeks, or you correct me when I'm wrong. How do you put that lift schedule together? You know, you're going to do chest on Mondays or tries on, is it like that? Is it like, for me, like personally, you know, you do bis and tries on, you know, Tuesdays, shoulders on Wednesdays, or legs on Thursdays, or whatever. Is it like that for when you guys train?
I mean, for when you go into a prep, like, well, for us now, it's just the transition of basically your off season is your prep and your prep is your off season. Like, it's the same thing for us now. Like, we literally just transition right into from off season to prep. The only things that really change in that aspect is your food. and cardio, really, you know, and if you're on any gear, you know, that's going to change. That's the only things that really do change when you enter a prep. You know, other than that, like our schedules stay the same. Our training schedules stay the same up until like a certain point when we get closer to the end. We will switch it up and maybe kind of like tweak it a little bit and add in an extra day of training, because normally we're like 4 to 5 days training and 2 to 3 days off.
When is the off season, or when is your on season?
What do you mean?
Like is right now your off season? Is it like when you say off season, I think of like the NFL, or I think of like, you know, like
so I guess for us, off season's a little bit different. Like most sports, you think off seasons where they take a break and they kind of relax.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
For us, so to put it in a lack of better terms, just for the general public that's not in bodybuilding per se, I think improvement season would be a better word to use.
Right.
As in like, this is the time where we get bigger, get better, correct whatever, lacking body parts we have. We correct, anything pretty much that you didn't hit, your last, stage, your last time you were on stage. That's the time where you have to fix it, because you're not going to fix, lacking body parts, or, if you have a small back or something like that, or, you have an imbalance, like your right arm is bigger than your left arm. You're not going to fix that when you're in a deficit getting ready for a show. You got to fix that, in the off season or improvement season, because that's when you have, a surplus of calories to improve those particular body parts and improve those specific things that you have to work on.
Gotcha. And so like when you say, your right arm's smaller than your left or something like that, do they tell you that when you're on stage? Do the judges tell you like, hey, whatever, your right leg's smaller than your left?
So,
like, how do you know, how would you know that you're, by like your partners tell you that?
Let's start off by saying this. Usually most of the time when we step on stage and like you get somebody that tells you, hey, Marsell, your arms suck. In our head, we're like, well, shit, tell me something I don't already know. Usually we already know like what our weaknesses are, because we're very like almost self-conscious towards those things, because we're already working on them. Like those are the things that we work on, like, really hard. But as far as like getting judges feedback, sometimes they'll tell you like, okay, your arms need to catch up with your lower body, or you're you have great quads, but from the back your hamstrings are weak, so they'll tell you those things like when you get your judges feedback after a show.
Wow, I didn't know all that.
And then like coaches, our coach will tell us like what we need to bring up, and him and I we train together all the time, so like we will critique each other, in a manner where it's not going to be, we're not going to be talking shit, but
right.
Like we'll say, hey, like you got to bring this part up, bro, like this to look better if we started doing more of this or whatever, Right.
How long do you guys train a day?
That depends, I guess, like anywhere between
hour to 2,
yeah, really.
So ain't much difference than myself. I mean, I'll do like an hour, maybe 2 hours on the weekend, but I don't do it consistently as much.
Like, well, you got to add like, we do cardio in the morning if we do our cardio, so like fast cardio. I don't know if you count that as training or not, but like to us, training is actual, weights per se.
Gotcha. So
like
all the steps that you do in the morning, you don't count that, Isaac?
I mean, like not towards my training.
No,
that's part of life.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just life.
Cardio,
I would count that. I'm counting that.
No, like cardio is cardio. We get it in, whether it's off season or what you want to call it, improvement season or prep. It's part of what we have to do. Like we need that. We need the cardio during prep, obviously, to keep ourselves either in a caloric deficit, keep burning fat. But we also need it in off season for endurance purposes, for training. If we're not doing cardio and we're not, keeping our heart conditioned, we're leaving reps on the table while we're training, and that's affecting our growth. So
right.
We have to implement cardio. I know a lot of big guys are like, oh, I don't do no cardio in the office. Bullshit. Like you need to. How the hell else are you going to train efficiently and effectively? You know? So that's our concept behind it, really.
So then you train and you do cardio throughout the day. As far as like eating, right before this podcast, you were eating. I'm not trying to blow your spot up, but you were eating. You said on the off season, you eat more than you do when you're, about to be in competition. How drastically are you eating like 13 times a day versus, twice a day right before competition?
No, same six times a day.
6 times a day? Okay.
Yeah.
Usually what changes is like your carbohydrate intake and your fat intake.
Gotcha.
When you swing from off season to in season per se, it all depends, pretty much where your body's at heading into a competition prep on where you're going to be. Usually towards the end, it's not a lot. Usually,
yeah, it's not fun.
It's pretty tough towards the end there.
Yeah.
But it all just depends what kind of a shape you put yourself in, starting the prep. So the thing that swings the most, it's not the frequency of meals. We still eat 6 times a day. So that's kind of like clockwork at this point, when you do it for so long, in season, off season. We pretty much do it all year. I remember the last time where I didn't, eat 6 meals, consistently. Yeah, there's days where you miss it here and there, like if you're doing something, whatever. But I'm saying, like, as far as like actually having a meal plan or, food with you that you prepared for the week, I don't remember the last time I didn't do that. That's just, I think, part of us now. Like, if you don't have that, my day just goes weird. It's like my day is set up by like when I'm gonna eat. It's kind of pathetic if you sound if
no, I get it. I get it. So
it's like I know at 10 a.m. I'm eating a meal, and if I miss that meal, like my day starts kind of going off. I'm like, what time is it? This is weird.
Yeah.
I didn't eat. Yeah.
So what about like going out to eat and stuff? Does that kind of hinder your eat? Do you bring your own meals to the restaurant?
Prep.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Okay.
I have in prep, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Off season, I won't go.
No, off season is a different story. Like, it all depends. Like, if you're doing what you're supposed to for the rest of the off season, and like, there you go out with your family or there's an event, yeah, you should be able to enjoy that. Just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do all the other times. But in prep, like if there's a event that we have to go to, or even if Michelle wants to go out to eat, and it's like, I'm not going to be like, no, sit at home. Sure. Yeah, I'll come. And if I can substitute something, if it's pretty far out from a show, like let's say I'm supposed to eat a steak meal, you can get a steak at the steakhouse. If you go to a steakhouse, you just have to make sure that they prepare in a specific way and it's, extremely close to what you're supposed to eat. I wouldn't recommend doing that like close to show, like a couple weeks out, but towards, the beginning, yeah, if you want to sub a meal, at a restaurant, sure, you can do that. I don't recommend doing it all the time unless you're very, very good at it and you know what you have to do to, be close to what your actual meal is supposed to be. But yeah, you can do that or bring your own meals with you. I've done both.
Gotcha. What so as far as these competitions, how big are they? How many bodybuilders are in, when you're competing? How many are you competing against?
It varies, man. Some shows are bigger than others, like I myself haven't stepped on like a national stage yet. So like a bigger show, the bigger amateur shows are the national shows. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the shows I've done, except for maybe like 1 or 2, we're mostly all small. And in men's bodybuilding, there's not a lot of bodybuilders nowadays, man, because there's so many guys that want to compete in classic physique and in men's physique. It almost waters it down a little bit for my class, so I'm not competing against a bunch of guys, but like Marsell, he's competed on the national stage at least 3-4 times already. So he's done some big shows,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so like so nationally, there's a lot more guys you're going against.
Yeah, because there's pro cards up on the line at the national shows. Depending at which one and which class, but pretty much any national show with classic physique there's pro cards on the line. So yeah, so the guys are showing up to get those. That's like
what exactly is a pro card?
It's like making it to the NFL of football or the NBA of basketball. It's the big leagues. That's the best way to call it. So
you get sponsored and stuff and money, or
If you play your cards the right way and if you're good at what you do, yeah. But just because you get a pro card doesn't mean you're going to be successful. That's for sure. Not in this industry. It doesn't work like that. We don't get big contracts anymore. You have to be able to monetize yourself, and you have to be able to look for other streams of revenue. Can a pro card help you? Oh, absolutely. But you have to know how to play your damn cards right.
You got to know how to market yourself. Yeah, for sure.
With a lot of guys, you see, they'll get their pro card and they think, their shit don't stink anymore, and they're stagnant and they don't go anywhere. I'm sure there's tons of pros out there who can't even pay for their preps. They can't even make money. They can't even make enough money in bodybuilding to pay for their bodybuilding. Yeah. So, and that's the story for most bodybuilders. That's the sad truth of bodybuilding. But if you know how to market yourself, if you're smart about it, and if you're not lazy, and if you don't get complacent, yeah, it can be very beneficial and it could be very lucrative. You just have to play your cards the right way.
Gotcha. Is it the same for women too? Or is it even less competition or less women competing?
Well, like women's bikini, there's like a fucking 1,000 of them on every show, like.
Yeah.
When you get up into the more,
we might get shit for this, but when you said women, I didn't even think bikini. I thought like figure and physique and bodybuilding.
Right.
That's what it was.
But women's bikini,
I totally forgot until Isaac mentioned it.
Well, women's bikini is the one that brings the money though for these
I'm gonna be honest. When I said that, I was thinking bikini.
Right, but they're the ones that bring the money in for the promoters. Like they literally have so many girls compete that those shows literally ride off. They ride on the backs of the bikini competitors. They do.
100%.
They do, because the more muscular classes for women's, like there's not a lot of women that can compete in those muscular classes. Like they just don't have the physique for it.
Yeah, let's face it. Not a lot of women want to look like that. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the other thing too.
It takes a special breed of women to actually, be, not confident, but committed enough to do that to their bodies. Because for them, it comes even 10 times harder than it does for us, and for us, it's already hard. So.
Yeah, I bet. And speaking of how hard it is, like when you are training and you are, dieting correctly, like how's your mental? How do you feel mentally? Is there days like where you're just like, you're jolly and then the next second you're like, want to punch a hole in the wall?
Yeah, all the time.
Pretty much summed up a contest prep right there.
Even during off season, man, like I have my moments, because if you're on top of your shit and you're eating, regardless if you're in a caloric surplus, like not cheating and always dieting can drive you a little bit crazy over the time,
Right.
It does. It'll get to you over time, and it's 10 times harder in prep, mentally. So you can imagine how that is.
It's just like something about being in contest prep. Sometimes nothing changes, but like just the whole thought of like, oh fuck, I can't do anything even if I wanted to, or if I could, like you just can't. That in itself, like that restrictive mindset, it can already put you in a different spot some days where you're just like, damn, I got, how many more weeks of this to go, And
then your energy levels are just like fucking shot. Like you literally, there's days where you can't, like you literally count how many steps it takes to get to the fridge and back. Like you're sitting there like, okay, about 12 steps, I think I can make it. It's like that. It literally gets like that. You feel like you got fucking sandbags on your feet, man. Like it's terrible.
Jeez.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, this fridge is far away. I don't know if I want to get up to eat so I can have more energy. I don't know if that walk to that fridge is worth the food that I'm about to eat.
Yeah. Right. So you guys put yourself through this mentally and physically. Is it, the love of the sport, the love of bodybuilding, is there money? Like obviously there's money involved when you win a competition, but is it a lot of money?
Not an amateur level. There's no money involved. No. I mean, for us on the amateur level, like our money comes from obviously us placing well, looking good, and our social media, and that drives other streams of revenue in. That drives our coaching in. You know, that drives the condemnedlabz, who we're both, you know, we affiliated with. You know, that's really what it comes down to. But we don't get contest money for winning shows, not yet. Not till you're a pro.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah, and you know, speaking of your sponsorship, go ahead and plug your social medias right now while we're at it.
Yeah, so mine is IconicIron on Instagram. It's iconic_iron, and we're both affiliated with condemnedlabz, who's up and coming, killing it in the game. Just signed a bunch of people. Marsell has been with condemnedlabz for about 4 or 5 years now. He's one of the,
I think like 3-ish, yeah.
Yeah, one of the OG athletes, you know, from Condemn. And then I just came on actually on New Year's Eve of 2020. So
Nice.
you know, I'm the newcomer.
Yeah. You're the young buck.
Yeah, something like that, right?
And Marcel, I believe you said your Instagram's at Marcel Zilbuck.
Yeah, Marcel Zaborek. Yep. Just like my name up there.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, that's awesome. You know, I will say, let's get back to the bikini thing.
Here we go.
The first time Isaac posted a picture of himself in a Speedo, I'm like, whoa. So let me ask you, did that take? I mean, obviously that's a courage, but I mean, how did you feel about it? I mean, was it easy for you just to snap into this bodybuilding mode, or was it? Because like I've known you before this, and so it's just I don't know.
Bodybuilding is a little wrong. Okay, it's a little wrong. Okay,
there's another point I want to bring to this besides the Speedo.
There is a level of weirdness to it, but
yeah. No, I mean it was a little ballsy, no pun intended. But, it took a little bit for me to be like, okay, I'm putting myself out there now. Like, This is what I'm doing. I'm in a fucking man thong. You know, it's not fun doing that, but not at first, at least. And then after a while, something I just had to get used to, because I'm like, fuck, man, I got to stand in front of fucking people anyways, being judged, you know, from people that I don't know. So I might as well at least post my shit on social media and get over that phobia or fear or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, all props to you guys. I couldn't do that.
It's not that bad for me. Like, I don't have an issue with like showing myself whether I'm out of shape or in shape, like that I'm pretty good with. And, you know, obviously being in fucking underwear is different, but it wasn't that hard of a transition to make, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm the total opposite of him, to be honest with you. You know, since I came from like a total like low self-esteem, not feeling good about yourself, was what got me into bodybuilding. And then it was like, hey, let's take every single fucking anxiety and phobia that you have, and let's put on a banana hammock and stand in front of people.
See, that'd be me. I'd be coming from that situation.
And then on top of that, it was funny. Like the first time I told like my family that I wanna do this, you'd be fucking surprised how much shit my brother was giving me. He's like, oh, you're gonna put on like a Borat banana hammock and stand in front of people. Like he gave me crap up until I did my first show. Like I heard it every day.
Yeah.
Like me and him work in the same building. Like me and him worked together for the longest time ever. Every day at the office, he'd be giving me shit. He'd be like, oh, you brought your Speedo today? You got your thong on? You know, so.
So
now my big brother is the little brother. He's the little brother now.
Yeah, I bet. You guys are huge. You guys are massive. I remember standing next to Isaac a couple months when you came back to Chicago, man. You're freaking huge. Like not like fat or nothing, but like just fucking built.
That's how I feel every day next to him. Don't worry, it's still the
same. So one of the other things about bodybuilding, in addition to being weird, is the spray tan.
Oh gosh,
what is that about? I don't get that. Is it because of my personal thought on this is because of the light reflection, it hits the muscles, and it just, I guess it looks prettier maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's almost like the lights are so bright on the stage, they can they'll wash you out. Like you won't have as much definition. So the dark sprays come in and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
And then it's also to make everybody even across the board, because like, think about if you had a black guy come in next to a white guy and say their physiques are even, the black guy is going to look better regardless because you could see all the shape and colors and cuts because of his dark skin. You know, so that also makes it even across the board, an even playing field, I guess you could say. But it does help bring out detail and, you know, other things and shape that you wouldn't see if you just had your regular skin color. You know?
Honestly, that's probably one of the worst parts about bodybuilding, like, is the fucking spray tan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's like one of the dirtiest and grossest experiences you can ever have is like doing a 2-day bodybuilding show, because you got like 5 coats of spray tan on you. Like, you gotta keep in mind, you can't really wash your hands for that time that you have it on. You can't put on deodorant while
It
you
comes
have a
off
spray
quickly.
if you have deodorant, actually your spray tan will turn green. Like, there's some chemicals in there that react with the color that they use, that like your armpits will turn green. So you can't put on deodorant, you can't wash your hands, you pretty much and then you get like oiled up before stage. So then you have oils on you and you can't shower, you can't do anything with it.
Jeez.
So so like, not only do you have like bad body odor, because I mean, you haven't put on deodorant in the longest time ever, but on top of that, you were sweating on stage. On top of that, you had another, you know, coat of tan, and then you had like oil on you. And believe it or not, at most amateur shows, they don't use like special posing oil. They fucking take Pam cooking spray and they spray you with Pam cooking spray. Like, you have
damn
Pam oil on you. It's gross.
Yeah, right. You smell like a fucking skillet, you know?
Yeah.
Brutal.
Denver.
And then, not to mention, like, you got to go back to your fucking hotel room and try not to ruin their bed sheets, because then you're going to get charged for those.
Oh, I never thought about
that.
that.
So you have to bring either your own sheets or lay out a bunch of fucking towels or cover yourself completely, like, to where you're not touching anything, and hope you don't bleed through your shirt onto the fucking sheets.
Jeez.
And then,
terrible.
Like, you go to the bathroom, you got to make sure you wrap that toilet seat, because it's going to be brown, and you're going to be charged for a toilet seat at the hotel.
Damn.
Yeah, like, if I take a shit, like, and it splashes up into my ass, I'm fucked, because my ass shows, you know? So there's water on my tan, and I got fucking little splash marks all over my ass cheeks. Like, it's a fucking pain in the ass.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, make sure when you're peeing, you ain't peeing in no urinal, because all that backsplash is going to be on you.
Yeah.
Jeez,
right.
Little things that you don't even think about.
Yeah.
It gets even worse. Trust me. The little things. Yeah. You do some weird,
so right before you're on stage, you're oiled up, you're tanned up, you're in your Speedo. Do you, like, I remember, like, in wrestling, we used to, like, back in the day, back in high school, we used to, like, do some, like, drills to kind of warm up and stuff. Do you guys, I don't know, do push-ups or anything to, like, I don't know, have your muscles peak? I don't know the phrases, but you know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do push-ups, you know, there's pull-ups, and obviously some of the places give you weights. You know, if not, you bring your own, like, resistance band and, you know, shit like that. You get creative and just, you know, you try to work a pump, man. You try to work the body parts that you want to show the most. Yeah. You know, and it's pretty much it. You know, I mean, everything aside from, like, your legs, you really don't want a leg pump or nothing. You know, you want to keep your legs as detailed as possible. But, you know, you always want to blow up your arms. You want to blow up your shoulders, your chest, a little bit in your back. And that's pretty much it, you know?
Yeah. The posing seems like it's an art form. It seems like, you know, from what I've seen on your Instagram and other videos and stuff, it seems like you really have to practice on your posing.
Oh yeah.
One of the it's actually one of the hardest things to do is, like, pose in a show. It's like, you've never been as sore as, like, the sorest I've ever been is, like, after posing for a long time on stage. Like, the adrenaline mixed with squeezing as hard as you can, mixed with you not breathing correctly because you're trying to, you know, keep your waistline in. You're not trying to blow out your stomach. Man, you hit it like 3-4 poses on stage and you're fucking cashed. Like, you come off stage and you're sucking air. Like, you're like, I just ran a marathon, and it's tough, you know? I think there's just something about being on stage that, like, mixed with the adrenaline, you squeeze so hard, like, that you're just get some sort of activation that you don't usually get. No matter how much you practice it, practicing it will make it better, like trying to condition yourself for it. Mm-hmm. But when you're on stage, right away you see who didn't practice just because they hit like one pose and they're just done, you know?
Right.
Have you guys ever seen anybody faint on stage?
Off
Seen
stage.
people get cramps. Yeah,
Yeah.
off stage, and I've seen people get cramps for sure all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've heard of stories of guys passing out on stage.
Yeah.
I've never seen it personally, but it happens.
Yeah.
Sure.
How did COVID treat the bodybuilding world? How did the competitions get shut down and stuff? Or
Oh yeah. It was a rough year, man. Especially like I'd probably let Marcel tell you the best, man. He really had to struggle the most because he started his prep in like late December 2019, and he didn't do his first fucking show until like the beginning of August.
Yeah.
And he had to prep that whole time. Not by choice. I mean, yeah, by choice, but not because that's what he planned. So they kept changing shows, and it was a fucking mess, man.
They kept moving them back, and it became a nightmare. And actually, the worst part about the whole thing is I didn't even make it to the show I was supposed to make it to. Like,
oh damn,
4 weeks before the show, I got a kidney infection.
Oh shit!
So after prepping for let's call it 8 months to be safe, I didn't even make it to the show I was supposed to make it to. That was the worst part about it. So
that sucks. Well, hopefully you guys get back on stage this upcoming year. Hopefully shit goes back to normal. I don't know how it is in Arizona, but here it's kind of seems like it's starting to go back normal a little bit.
They've been running all the bodybuilding shows. Like they have ways around it. Some wear masks, some don't. Some move the shows.
In Arizona, they do for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is Arizona like a hot spot for bodybuilding?
Right now,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say
right
it's
now
a hot
it
spot.
Is kind of. Yeah, I mean,
but
if you think about it, yeah. Florida's the hot spot, really.
Yeah.
Like where are the most competitions held at?
I mean, Florida's holding the most pro competitions. That's where all the pro
right.
competitions got changed to. It was Tampa and Orlando. But yeah, Arizona got one of the national shows moved there because everything started to go to shit. They shut down Vegas, shut it down. California shut it down.
Yeah. Wait, were you asking like what's a hot spot of bodybuilding? Like where's bodybuilding popular, or where
actually both, to be honest with you. I was at
okay.
like the most competitions where they held that, and then I know bodybuilding. Like I used to live in LA, and they got Gold's Gym out there and like by the beach and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's
I actually lived in LA as well.
Okay. And I know there's a big gym in Ohio. I can't remember the name. He's an older guy that does like weird old.
The West Side Barbell.
Yes.
Crazy bastard.
I'm telling you, I used to watch all that stuff, the bodybuilding stuff back in the day. Probably like around 2016, Ronnie Coleman and them. It kind of sucks to see Ronnie Coleman how he is now, to be honest with you. How he,
he wouldn't say so. He thinks it was all worth it. So if he thinks it was all worth it, all power to him,
Yeah, that's true. I get that. Let me see. I asked you about the eat, the sleep. Oh, what inspired you guys to get into this? Like who, like you guys both can answer this. Like, was it Arnold Schwarzenegger? Was it Ronnie Coleman, or who was it that got you like to? Who do you look at to be like I want his arms or his back, or you know what I mean?
Go ahead. I'll let you answer first.
I don't know. I have to think about that one pretty damn hard, to be honest with you.
Like, who's your mentor? Who's your guys' mentors? Who you guys look up to in the bodybuilding?
I mean,
do you guys look up to anybody, or do you guys just do freestyle on your own and just do your own thing?
For me, like, I didn't like, obviously I didn't grow up idolizing any bodybuilders or anything like that because I was so into baseball my whole life. And even then I never really idolized people. Like my dad was always somebody I idolized, because he could do everything,
Right.
But when it came to bodybuilding, what drove me into bodybuilding really was just that, like, I like to lift weights, and I was living the lifestyle somewhat. So I just decided, like, I needed something competitive to kind of fill my life in because baseball was over for me. And I was tired of, like, giving up my weekends to do baseball and working was hard and doing all that stuff with a family. So I was like, well, hell, I already go to the gym. I already eat healthy. I might as well fucking bodybuild because at least I could be competitive and, like, win shit and, just fill that void that baseball left behind. So it really was never anybody that I saw was like, oh, I want to be like him, or, like that. I mean, as far as like mentors go for me, you know, like my mentor would probably be at this point would be my coach still, you know, but he's taught me a lot. My coach, Mike Lacombe. His Instagram name is Swollen Pitbull, but he's probably my mentor when it comes to all this because I've learned so much from him and I watched him grow and do what he's done. And yeah, like a lot of inspiration from him and motivation, you know, from him as well. But I would say I have my own driving force for sure. You
Gotcha.
know, I'm very motivated on my own. I don't need anybody.
See, for me, it's kind of a weird story because like I was always kind of infatuated by bodybuilding. I just never thought I would end up doing it. Like when I was little, my mom's really good friend, he was a bodybuilder in Poland, and it was funny that like he actually used to take me to bodybuilding shows with him. I didn't think anything of it actually until, you know, not too long ago. My mom actually reminded me about that. She was like, you realize like when you were little, you actually really liked bodybuilding and like you were going to shows with, you know, the guy's name was Chris because he were going to bodybuilding shows with Chris and like you would take his trophies and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. So I always liked bodybuilding. I never thought I would be doing it, honestly, until I started. Yeah. I never thought I would be like, I never thought anything of it. But as soon as I started training, it was like, as soon as I started, you know, thinking about doing my first competition, it was like, I got hooked on it. But as far as like idols and idolizing people, there is a whole bunch. I mean, I can't think of like one particular one off the top of my head. Yeah. Like, but you know, I was always kind of drawn to like, just like freaky physiques, like the people who just look weird and freaky, not necessarily like pretty, but it was always like, you know, somebody that's like beyond shredded, peeled inside out. Like those are the people that I really like. Mm-hmm. Recently, I don't have any like favorite ones. Like there's so many people that like now that I'm kind of in it, like I understand how hard it is to get certain things. Like I understand how hard it is to get big. I understand how hard it is to get shredded. I understand how hard it is to have you know, pretty lines and a pretty physique. So I like those are such like different things that I really enjoy a lot of different physiques. And I idolize this guy because he's fucking awesome. Like he's just, you know, balanced and he's got flow to him. And then I really like this guy because he's just monstrous. Like he's huge. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? And then I idolize this guy because I'm like, he's so peeled. I don't even know how that's humanly possible. Like it's pretty much a human anatomy chart. So there's a bunch of different ones that I idolize. It's hard for me to say like favorite bodybuilder or favorite this because it changes not changes, but like I'll come up like it doesn't have to be a big guy, like a famous guy. Like sometimes it will pop up on our, you know, feeds and I'll send ties and be like, look at this shit. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that I look up to. Pretty much anybody that's like has done something that I would have a hard time doing. I respect that, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's impressive. That's good. This is awesome work. And then
that's awesome.
As far as like mentors, the one that's let's like helped me out the most is the one I've been the longest with for sure, which is as well Mike Lacombe as well, Swollen Pitbull. You know, we're both coached by him. He's definitely, I mean, I've been with him the longest, and he's, you know, we've been through so many shows that he's definitely showed me a lot about, you know, not only like bodybuilding, but just having the right mindset and stuff like that, which definitely is overlooked in the sport for sure, is just having the right mindset for it.
Right. So I won't keep you guys too much long, but I just got a couple more questions. So for a beginner person, like a person that doesn't really, you know, work out that much, what do you think's the best advice for them to go back into the gym? Would it be like 90% diet, work out a little bit, make sure you get the right sleep, all of the above? I mean, what's like the best advice for them to like lift really heavy, or what do you think?
I mean, definitely, you know, make diet your your focal point for sure, right? Get that part down. You know, make sure you're locked into your diet, because that, to me, without diet, you know, nothing else really means shit. You know, obviously have your sleep down as well, which is hard for most people, but when it comes to training, once you got that figured out, training, if you're just starting off, you know, you want to go back, and a lot of it, if you're like at the beginning stages, like you want to hit the basics, man. You know, you want to really get into the compound movements, you know, and not necessarily focus on like heavy weight or how many reps you're doing, but really focus on, you know, proper form, make sure you're performing the exercise correctly. You know, that to me is the most important part, because that's how you build your base body, right? You know, you're not going to build your base body with isolation movements. You know, you're sitting there on a fucking, you know, little chest press machine or a pec deck or something, whatever. You know, get into the compound stuff and really like figure it out first before you start going on to the other machine work and stuff that's, you know, isolation. You know, to me, that's where you have to start to build a base. Like, you don't want to build a base with a bunch of shit, you know, you're hitting little bicep parts and here and there, and that doesn't do anything for you. You know, if you really want to look good 5-6 years from down the road, you need to start from the basics, build your base up, and then as you get better and you add on muscle, then you can start doing isolation movements, you know?
Yeah. I would, the only thing that I would add to that is, like, if you're a beginner and you're starting out, think you have to put a lot of your energy onto figuring how to fucking get organized and get your shit together. By what I mean by that is, like, learn how to plan ahead. If you don't plan ahead, you will fail in the sport. The sport is all about planning, knowing when you're going to eat, knowing, you know, what food you need to have made, what food you need to bring with you. You need to know if you need to bring your workout clothes with you. You need to know if you need to, you know, bring your cardio shoes with you. You need to have all that planned the day before. Like that, I would, you know, I see so many people struggle a lot harder than they need to just because they don't plan ahead. If you don't plan ahead here, you're going to have a fucking hard time making it in this sport for sure. You got to plan in advance, days at a time, you know?
Yeah. So you guys are both, I'm assuming you guys meal prep. How many days do you meal prep out?
Both. I mean, I remember I used to meal prep a lot, because remember I was working, you know, I was working an actual job. So I would always prep every Sunday. I'd prep 6 days out, you know, and I'd prep enough. I'd prep at least meals 2 through whatever it was 5 ahead of time. And I'd have it all laid out, you know, 3 days worth in the fridge, another 3 days worth in the deep freezer. And that's how I lived my life, man, for like at least a solid almost 3 years, you know, before I made the switch over here to Arizona. Now it's different, you know, now working from home, you know, you just cook your food as you go, which is a beautiful thing. Like, I never realized like how much I enjoy eating fresh fucking food.
Right.
And, you know, because it's a big deal, man, from going from like microwaving your shit every fucking day, you know, eating out of a container in the back of a fucking truck, you know, whether it's fucking 0 degrees outside or it's 98 degrees outside, you know?
Right.
So definitely different now from working from home, for sure.
Yeah, like same thing for me. I used to do the same thing, you know, when I didn't work at home. It would be, for me, it used to be all week, all 7 days. And I mean, like, I'm talking fish, steak, whatever it is. Like, I'm eating if it's week. I used to even go as far as like cooking my breakfast. I used to cook my egg whites in advance. Like, thinking about eating some nasty egg whites that are a week old, that are cooked, sitting in a fridge. But that was the name of the game. In order for me to be able to do it, that's what I just had to do. And yeah, it didn't taste the greatest, but it is what it is. But now now honestly, like, since, you know, we've been so busy, I've been so busy, like, Michelle has been like doing most of the cooking, and she knows what I need made, and I just kind of open the fridge and, you know, take what I need for my particular meal. But
That's awesome.
yeah, but before it used to be, same thing, fucking on a Sunday, it's like 4 hours of, you know, weighing shit out and making sure I have it ready for the week. You know, but now being at home, it's a dream. It's like,
I think like at the beginning, man, like when you first start off doing that, like you have to be like extreme like that. Like you really do. In order for you to be like successful, you have to be extreme as hell to get to the point where you understand it, to where you can kind of lay back a little bit like we are now. You know, we're a little more laid back about it, but we are still technically extreme. We just know how to balance it better.
Right.
You know, but starting off, like, you really do have to be like, I got to pack all my fucking food and I'm taking it with me no matter where I go. Like, you have to be like that if you truly want to, like, change yourself, you know?
Yeah.
That's part of
That's
that
just
plan.
the way I found that it just has to be that way. And I tell people, like, if you're not willing to be extreme, you know, like at the beginning, like, this probably ain't for you. Like, you need to, like, reevaluate if you really want to do this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's 100% effort, is being that extreme.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, let's put it this way. If you think that, you know, having to bring food with you everywhere is extreme, trust me, you will not make it in this sport, because we have to do some extreme shit. We're literally willing to do things that most people are not, whether that's, you know, putting our health on the line for this stuff, or, you know, sacrificing family time or whatever it is. Like, trust me, if you can't do your meal preps and deal with that, you ain't gonna
Not
make
the right
it for
sport.
it. Definitely not the right sport for you. There's some stuff that we're forced to do. You're not forced, but we have to do that most people wouldn't even dream of.
Gotcha. Well, guys, I've learned a lot. Before we close out, I just want to let you guys not only plug your things, you guys have plugged it already, but, you know, I know Isaac specifically, and Marcel, I'll actually start following you now, but you guys provide services. I know you provide, you know, personal coaching and stuff. Let the people know what you do. And, you know, to be honest with you, I need to probably get on your get some service from you, because, man, my arms are feeling a little too small. My stomach's a little too big. And I put on that COVID-19, those 19 pounds since since it all started. But, you know, plug everything away. Let them know what your services you offer.
So both of us now are under Iconic Physiques. You know, that's going to be where we take our lifestyle clients, our new prep clients. We just started that, so you can contact both of us at either or of our Instagrams, IconicIron or Marcel Zabork on Instagram. Other than that, you know, we're starting a new online coaching thing, but that's more towards like a targeted audience. So it's not something that you can necessarily like contact us to get to it. If it finds you, it's there for a reason. If it finds you, so let's put it that way.
If it pops up in front of your face, then we're the right people for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, for real. But other than that, man, like our condemnedlabz, you know, my code is Iconic, and then Marcel's is Marcel10. You know, if you ever want to buy some supplements, use either one of those codes, save yourself some money, you know. And anybody that's in Batavia area, in Batavia, Illinois, on the Fox Valley area, stop by GNC Batavia. I'm still sponsored by them. Mention my name, 20% off all of their products, 10% off all condemnedlabz products, because they just got condemnedlabz put into there. So go out there, check it out. Go grab some products.
Yeah, and then as far as like services that we do is just nutrition, you know, workout planning, you know, if you want to build personal training, if you want to build particular body parts
at the Trap House Gym.
If you have if you have health issues, like you have diabetes and you have, you know, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and you need help like figuring out how to get those things down without pills and fixing that, we do that as well. I mean, that's a big part of what we do, is like getting people healthy. It's not just about getting big and strong. Like, that's only half the battle. We enjoy getting people healthy. You know what I mean?
Everybody has to be
everybody's going to be a bodybuilder.
Right. No, not everybody has to be a bodybuilder. We take all walks of life, man. Whether you're, you know, 80-some years old and you just want to feel good, or, you know, you're a 19-year-old starting off and you want to bodybuild and get into it. You know, we take all walks of life.
But only if you're serious. That the only requirement is you got to be pretty serious about, you know, getting some results. If you don't really want to get results, we might have a tough time getting along.
Right. Well, guys, Isaac, for one, again, your entrepreneurship, moving out to Arizona is inspiring. like you said, like you guys said, you got to take it extreme. That's kind of what I'm doing with this podcast is not letting COVID slow me down. Keep pushing forward. But I appreciate you guys being on this podcast episode. I'll get this out very shortly, and I'll tag all your information to the my podcast posts and so forth. But again, I appreciate you guys coming on. And we'll have to reconvene after once you guys are maybe mid prep into a competition, or maybe right after a competition. Maybe right after. I don't want to mess with your mental.
You should get up with us like midsummer, man. That's when we're pretty much both hopefully be done with shows and hopefully have won our shows. So definitely
I'm doing
midsummer.
one in May, so it's coming up.
I got one in July, so we're right there, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to get you back on. But again, I appreciate you guys being on. Everybody else, I'll talk to you guys next time.
Cool.
Peace.
Take it easy.
See ya.